All right, folks, we're about to start our webinar. Welcome again to Brown University's Spring 2017 Program Information Session. My name is Lauren Watka. I'm one of the program directors here. I'm joined by my colleague, Kisa Takesue. We'll take some time later to introduce ourselves more at length, but just two housekeeping things before we get started. First, wanted to let you folks know that this webinar is being recorded and it will be sent automatically to your email, I think later, sometime during the day tomorrow. I think it'll be later in the day. So if there's a few details you miss, you want to share it with a friend, or if you just want to review a piece of it, you will be able to do that at your leisure. The second housekeeping note is over on the right side of your screen, you'll see an area to submit questions, and we would be glad to hear your questions throughout the webinar. We may save a few for the Q&A at the very end, but if there's some that make sense to answer real time, we'll just incorporate that into the presentation. Just so I know that you found the place to chat with us, can folks type in where you're calling from tonight? Where, either in the United States or in other countries. We know we have listeners coming from all across the world. We've got a couple Rhode Island, someone calling in or listening in from Texas. Welcome. From Lowell, Massachusetts, not too far away. Great to hear from you. All right, the Eastern Seaboard has a pretty strong representation. We've got someone from New Jersey. Marvelous. Well, great. I'm glad you found that chat box. Feel free to, or the question box, feel free to use that throughout the webinar. Again, if you have any questions that pop into your mind as we're chatting. With that, oh, look, I completely forgot we had this this slot. So you've already found the question box, but there's a visual for some of you who haven't found it yet. Over on the right side of your screen, you should be able to see a place to type your questions. And like I said, we'll answer them in real time or save it to the end, whatever makes the most sense. All right, with that, we'll do a formal introduction. Kisa, go ahead first.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Again, my name is Kisa Takesue. I'm one of the directors of Spring Programs, and so delighted for you to join us. I'm going to review our agenda for tonight.
Oh, and the voice you've been hearing already is Lauren Watka there on the left, and one of the assistant directors of pre-college programs.
So again, this is Kisa, and the agenda for tonight is we're going to review why Brown. We know that you have different options for how you want to spend your time. We know that this is a program that requires resources and energy and time, so we want to give you a little more information about why Brown as a program option for you. We're going to review in more detail the specifics of the 3 spring programs we have, which include the Florida Keys, running from March 11th through the 18th, Costa Rica, running from March 11th to the 18th as well, and then the Providence program, which runs from March 26th to April 1st. We're going to review a little bit more about what students can expect out of these programs and expect from us, as well as what we expect of our student participants. We'll discuss financial aid and the availability of dean's scholarships, review the application process, and also review questions and answers. So hopefully that covers the information you were hoping to get from this information session. Again, as Lauren said, feel free throughout the program to ask us questions. So the first thing I want to talk a little bit more about is why Brown and things that make this program unique. Some of you may have had the opportunity to participate in other types of academic programs or perhaps international or service programs and may not really understand what might make this program unique or different from some of your own programs or other programs you participated in. One of the important pieces about our Brown programs is that they are multidisciplinary, and we think that's a really important key to understanding social, pressing global issues that we'll be covering in these programs. Although in high school, oftentimes you are taking academics in a siloed way. You may be taking English and have no connection to your history class or to your economics class or to your biology and chemistry class. We feel that learning and understanding challenges involves a multidisciplinary approach. So these programs will have a multidisciplinary focus involving ecology or ethics, biomedical engineering, environmental studies. The other piece is that these are immersive academic experiences. We are learning while we are doing. It's not simply classroom learning, but an engagement with the material in ways inside the classroom and out. The other piece of these programs that are unique and special is the students that you will be learning with. We have students that are from all over the world, certainly all over the country, who are highly motivated and engaged. And one of the things that students love most about these programs is the opportunity to interact with students who are like-minded in their passion and in their curiosity. We also really value the importance of inclusive learning environments, meaning that we really want to affirm and support all students. We are supportive of a variety of social identities, want to make sure that different ways of learning, ways of perspectives are welcome, and that this is a place where all feel that they belong. So those are some of the things that we think make these programs unique and special.
All right, well, let's jump into the first program. Again, this is Lauren Watka, I'm the Assistant Director, and I have the privilege of being on site down in Key Largo with hopefully a few of you in 2 months in the middle of March. This program is for students who are 15 years or older and are in their sophomore year or later. What is so neat about this program is we call it the Tropical Coast because we'll be exploring 3 main ecosystems down in Key Largo. We'll be exploring coral reefs. You can actually see a few at the very bottom of this picture. We have some sea fans kind of jumping up in the middle of the picture, which many of us know about. But also we'll be exploring mangrove habitat and seagrasses. Now these 3 ecosystems really create pivotal barrier areas between land and sea down in many, actually coastal, many tropical areas. Now we won't just be focusing on the science. As my colleague Kisa mentioned, we are multidisciplinary programs, so we'll be focused on the science, we'll be learning a lot about the ecology of this region, but we'll also be looking at some of the conservation tensions in not only Florida, but really Florida as an example of things happening across the world. In addition to that, we have a few leadership workshops sprinkled throughout the program. So we want to make sure, as we're learning about some of these really important issues together, that students come away with tangible tools and ways that they can create positive change even as they head home. Now for this program, there isn't any pre-existing knowledge. There's no prerequisites. Students who just have an interest in conservation or an interest in science or an interest in marine biology, this is the perfect program for you. We will be snorkeling almost every day, but you don't even have to be a strong swimmer to participate in this program. We have life jackets available, and we'll be doing a swim evaluation toward the beginning just to assess where each of our students are. Keith already mentioned the program goes through March 11th through March 18th. Even if that doesn't fall during your spring break, students, we've had students take a week off of school to come and take part in this really engaging program. We'll speak a little bit more about that toward the end because that will be up to you and your teachers to work out. But just so you know, we have had students take a week off of school in the past. A little bit about where we'll be staying. This photo right in the middle is a picture of the boat lagoon at the Marine Lab. This is right on one of the channels in the Florida Keys. So if you could head into this picture and just take a left, we would be out heading out into the Atlantic Ocean. And so we're right on the coast. Unfortunately, because the Keys are so developed and there's so much so much interest to be down there. There isn't a whole lot of space, so there isn't a beach access. But we'll be staying at this one facility. There's dormitory-style housing. Our cafeteria is actually that roof that you can see right there in the corner. And as I mentioned, I will be one of the staff heading down. Whoops. How do I go? I'm going to go back. I'm clicking way too far ahead. I'll be one of the staff heading down, but I'll be joined by one or two other instructors who have worked with these programs for a few years. In addition, we'll be taught by some folks who have been working down in the Keys for multiple years, so folks who have actually been snorkeling and diving in these reefs for much longer than I have, I can assure you of that. A few highlights of the program that I wanted to mention are primarily going out into the water and seeing some of these incredible places. The top right corner gives you a little snapshot of what most of our days include. There will also be a few service learning opportunities, which I'm really excited about. Last year we had a lot of fun walking into one of those mangrove ecosystems that's pictured in the middle there, right behind the students checking out one of our sea stars. You'll see those mangroves. We took a morning and actually did a coastal cleanup of sorts. We picked up trash essentially from one of these ecosystems, and my goodness was there a lot to pick up. We spent about 2 hours there, all 20 or so of us, but there's always more to do. We then actually measured that data and submitted it to the International Coastal Cleanup, who is an international organization trying to collect information on what is going on with marine debris across the world. A second service learning opportunity has a little bit more to do with the picture on the top left, which is coral restoration. We have some folks from the Coral Restoration Foundation come and we help make monofilament loops. So think of fishing line and making it into a loop, and that's how corals are often seeded before they can be planted out on a reef. So if any of this sounds really interesting to you, I really encourage you to apply to come to this program. As you can see, the program fee is $3,066. That's going to be the same for all of our spring programs. And we'll talk a little bit more about, as I mentioned, finances and financial aid toward the end. Unfortunately, we do not have scholarships available for this program. We will for our following two programs. It is a non-credit course. At the very bottom bullet there, it says we do provide students with a course performance report. So this is not for credit. However, every student who successfully completes the course will receive a certificate of completion and more of a narrative response. So myself and the other staff will be, the other instructors, will be writing a reflection on how we saw you personally interact with the program, with the group, how we saw you grow and learn across the program. So you will get individual feedback after completing the program. The last note about the program I wanted to mention is anytime we're in Florida, if this is an environmental program, we have to go see the Everglades. And so we do take an opportunity on our way back to the airport. We'll be flying in and out of Fort Lauderdale. We do take an opportunity to stop by the Everglades, go for a little hike, and see really what this national treasure looks like from the land side, even though we will probably have been seeing it from the ocean for most of the duration of the week. So if you have any other questions about this program, I would be glad to answer them. But for now, we're going to pop to our next program. During the exact same time as Florida, we have another program happening down in Costa Rica. So same week from March 11th to the 18th. Now this program is something fantastic. Unfortunately, our program director, Rosario Navarro, couldn't, because in fact, she is on site visiting one of our other locations for our summer programs. And so I am speaking in her place today, which might actually be a great opportunity to mention if these for students and parents and even educators who are joining us tonight, if these timeframes don't fall in line and don't fit your schedule, we also have an abundance of pre-college programs over the summer that we really encourage you to also look into. You can find those on our website, brown.edu/summer. But back to Costa Rica, I want to pull your attention to the top photos in the top left and the top right. These depict the most unique opportunity that this Costa Rica program provides. Our students who come and enroll in this program get to climb into the cloud forest and help one of the faculty members who's been doing research for years actually help see how she collects data, how she's thinking about climate change and conservation and this absolutely incredible ecosystem. So the students that you see in these pictures, students who are listening, that could be you this March. The students coming down to Costa Rica do have to be 16 years old or older, but otherwise it is the same date and the same price as our Florida program. Now, a few program highlights for Costa Rica. First of all, one note about why this program is happening in March. We scheduled this program to occur during the dry season. So those of us in temperate New England understand 4 seasons. However, in Costa Rica, they pretty much just have a dry season and a wet season. As you can imagine, if there are torrential rains, that's not the best conditions to be climbing 60 feet into a canopy. So we have planned the program to go during the dry season. It's much easier to climb. The academic focus of this course, as it says, is cloud forest ecology, but it's much more than that. We really try to engage not only the ecology of this really rare and some people say endangered ecosystem of the cloud forest, but also how that intersects with the local culture, with the ways people are thinking about sustainability. So many tensions across the world are between conservation and development, and the exact same tension lies here in Costa Rica in Monteverde, which is the area of the country where the program takes place. We get to learn from Dr. Sybil Gutch, who is faculty at Franklin and Marshall. As I mentioned, she has a long-term research study happening in this region, and so the students will be climbing up into the platforms where she and her research assistants are conducting research throughout the year. She's actually down there at this very moment. And what she's trying to understand at climbing up into the cloud forest is how is climate change and some of these global changes we're seeing, how is it affecting this ecosystem, and how can we predict into the future how to preserve some of these really rare species, both plant and animal. So she does this by going to different altitudes up in the canopy as a proxy of climate change, and she also uses greenhouses. So students will be helping and engaging with this research both in the greenhouse and in lab environments, as well as climbing up into the canopy. A little bit, I'll shift over to the day-to-day expectations of life in this program. Where will we be staying? It's a campus of the University of Georgia. It's in Monteverde, like I mentioned, and the accommodations for this program are so neat. Students will be staying in these bungalows. Basically, imagine a small cabin in the middle of just a lush green forest. I mean, you can hear the sounds of birds at night. The local area is very concerned about environmental impacts, and so there is a lot of people consider the impact of sound pollution and light pollution. And so students who really are excited to get away and really envelop themselves in the natural world, this is the program for you. Couple schedule highlights. Students will be arriving and departing from San Jose. That's the airport you'll be flying in and out of. The first day of the program, students will have a chance to go visit in San Jose. It's called the Central Market, and think of sort of a citywide farmers market. A lot of local food and local products. That'll be a really great taste of the culture the very first day that students arrive. Certainly the other highlight is, as you can see pictured on the top right, is climbing into the canopy. Not to mention, we'll be taking a night hike together looking for some nocturnal butterflies. There'll be an opportunity to learn salsa together. But really, the direct field experience and the way students will be able to try out some practical skills of a field ecologist are really the draw of this program. As I mentioned, the program fee is the same as it was for Florida, and students will also receive a certificate of completion and that personalized course performance report once they are completed. And there are scholarships available for this program. And again, we'll give you more details on that toward the end of our webinar. Now with that, we'll pop over to our third program.
Hi, this is Kisa Takesue again, and I'm delighted to share a little bit more information about the future of science and technology in medicine located at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. As a reminder, our deadline is actually a week later than the other programs because our program is a week later, and so the deadline for that program is Wednesday, February the 8th. So folks do have a few weeks, and there's certainly time to do the application. My name is Kisa Takesue again. I'm the Director of Leadership Programs, and this course will be the second year we've offered the program in the spring, and it was really based on the popularity of this course in our summer programming. Last year we had a little bit more of a broad-based focus where it was the future of science, technology, and medicine, but we found many of our students were primarily interested in medical field, and so we decided to focus on science and technology and medicine and have had a lot of good response on that. This program, I want to make clear, is not a lab-based program. So you are not going to actually have the ability to do lab research. Students just frankly don't have the knowledge or expertise to, for example, do stem cell research. What we will be doing is providing an overview of different types of cutting-edge research currently happening at Brown and across the world in science. And examples will be discussions on stem cell research, medical devices, and the cloning, and with the focus on the ethical implications. And that's what I think is so unique about this program, is that we'll really be getting into conversations about, just because we can do the science, should we do the science? Should there be policy around the science? Whose decision is the science? What is access and equity around the science? And so in addition to learning about these different techniques that are being developed at places like Brown University, there'll also be significant exploration around people's own values about research and technology. There'll be lots of interesting discussions based on people's own personal lived experiences, their own values about whether or not we should, for example, clone people in humans. Is that something that if we can do, we should do? Should there be regulations on that? Who should be the body to do that sort of regulation? So I think it's going to be a really engaging, thought-provoking experience, because one of the things we've found is that there does tend to be a lack of ethical discussions in the science and STEM fields. And so to have both, and that's where you get back to the multidisciplinary nature of the program, to have ethical discussions while you're also learning about this technology is really important integrated learning. Our faculty member is Dr. Samantha Rosenthal, who's a really neat person. As an undergraduate, she went to Carnegie Mellon and got both degrees both in chemical engineering and mechanical engineering, so has a great background in engineering. Then she worked in the private sector for a while, came back to Brown, got her master's in public health, and then her doctorate in epidemiology. And she's someone that just has broad-based interest in science and can talk about all kinds of scientific research, and has always on the side reading articles, and can be a great resource for folks who have want to know about all the different kinds of careers and jobs and majors there are in the field of science and technology. The program takes place during Brown Spring Break, and that's the only way we can actually access a classroom. It also gives students the ability to enjoy the campus in a more relaxed atmosphere. The accommodations we have will be downtown in the Hotel Providence, which is a lovely hotel, and then students will be bused to campus for classes. We'll have workshops in the afternoons and early evenings, again exploring some of the leadership components of being in cutting-edge science, involving ethics, involving leadership styles, diversity, listening skills, a wide range of applicable skills to anyone who's interested in the future in science. As with the other programs, the program fee is $3,066. As with the other programs, there's not credit, but you will receive a course performance report outlining your participation and ways that you contributed to the program, and also areas for improvement. Again, we will be visiting some labs. We're still setting up those lab visits, but you will not be doing lab-based work. There will also be a medical school tour, a Brown Medical School tour, and we'll have a panel with some engineers and undergraduates that are in science.
All right, a little students can expect from each of these programs. I'm sure, as you've heard already, the course material is amazing. It is fascinating, and students get to explore this content with discussions by going out in the field in some cases, and really not just by sitting in a classroom and looking at a book. The other thing that I think is really unique about these programs, and this might be my favorite even more than the academic material, is the student communities that come to these programs. I know some of you might really care about I'm trying to think of a specific medical term. I usually go to the marine world, so maybe you really care about coral reefs. And you might be the only one in your class or in your school that really cares about coral reefs. Well, by taking part in the Florida program, you'll be surrounded by a group of similarly motivated peers who love coral reefs and want to talk about them and want to see them and want to continue conversation over lunch and into free time. These are truly one-of-a-kind experiences where like I said, in the Costa Rica program especially, I don't know if there's any other opportunity to climb into the cloud forest with a researcher who has been down there for many, many years, really getting to know this area. And in each of these courses, we take our academics very seriously, and so we want to provide rigorous, challenging discussions for many of you. We realize that you are smart, educated, really like top of the line students, and so we want to give you an opportunity to have deep and thoughtful conversations on a lot of these big issues that we'll be presenting you with. At the same time, it is a two-way street. We want to make sure that you are engaged to the fullest extent. While these are spring break programs, we really expect the students, you students, to show up, to be engaged both socially and academically. So as I mentioned, you have this incredible cohort of peers with you for this week. So we expect you to try to make new friends, to reach out, say hi to someone who might not look like you, might not even speak the same first language as you. We also have an underlying expectation that our students have a deep respect for both themselves, the learning community that we establish together, and the places we get to go visit. In some places, we are venturing into really fragile ecosystems, some that might not be here in 50 or 100 years, maybe even less. Some in our Brown program will be going into the workspaces of people, into labs of other folks at Brown University. And so we want to be very clear from the beginning, we expect students to have the highest respect for all of these elements. We also know that some of these experiences will be new. Some of them will be challenging. Some of them might be scary. And so we hope all of our students come with a positive attitude and an openness to these new experiences that they'll be provided with, and also the new perspectives they might hear. We do love getting a diverse group of students together, and so students, you might hear an opinion from someone in a different part of the country that you might not agree with. We actually hope for that. That brings richer discussion and better learning from everyone, as long as we can maintain that openness and receptivity for what our peers bring to the table. So if we haven't scared you off yet, here's a little bit of information on our scholarships.
So we know we've received many questions about financial aid and scholarships and wanted to review information about that. The Dean scholarships are only offered for the Costa Rica and Providence programs. Our Florida program, we have a partnership with a local school to try and provide support for local students to be able to attend that program. So for that reason, the scholarships are only available for Costa Rica and Providence. The deadline for your scholarship applications is Tuesday, January 24th. However, we will not consider your scholarship application until you've submitted your application and you have been accepted. So if you're thinking about the scholarship, it's really important to work backwards in terms of timeline and make sure you apply right away so that we can accept you before that 24th deadline. If you have not completed your application and been admitted, we cannot consider you past the 24th. And in terms of scholarships, it's based on, we do require in family income tax information, and there is a scale based on need. So we have highest need, high need, medium need, and low need based on the information you provide. We do cover for the highest need all but the deposit, the $350. So you do still need to come up with a little bit of money even with the highest need. The other thing I want to make sure to make clear is that our program cost of $3,066 do not include transportation costs. So one would need to still pay for their travel to Costa Rica, to Providence, or to Florida. So depending on where you're from, we know the transportation can be significant. So it's important that you count in that as well when you think about the financial obligation for attending the program. If you apply to the program and get accepted and you aren't able to come up with the funds necessary to attend the program, you can be asked for your application to be redirected for the summer. And again, as Lauren mentioned earlier, we have hundreds of courses, many different programs in the summer as well. And that might be an opportunity to give you and your family more time to do some fundraising internally. Students do a wide range of kinds of really neat ways to fundraising, whether it's through solicitations in their community or raising money in ingenious ways, sometimes family support. So certainly that can give you a little bit more time. We understand and realize that these programs are expensive and hope that either with the scholarship application that is received during this program or one that's deferred until next summer will give students and families the ability to do some fundraising. If you have further questions, please don't hesitate to type those in. Again, in terms of the application process, we require 4 items. There's an online application which includes an essay. It's not, don't be daunted and nervous about the essay. It's really just asking you to say more about why you're interested in the program, what you hope to get out of the program. We just want to learn a little bit more about you and a good match. The essay also will be important in the scholarship application if you are applying for that as well, for us to get a better sense of your level of motivation or commitment to the program. There's a $50 application fee. Again, if you are a student that's applying for scholarship, you can get in touch with the scholarship folks in our office and request a waiver. We generally will do a waiver if you, for example, go to public school and are getting free or reduced lunch. That would be a way in which the application fee could be waived, but that is something you need to request. We also ask for a teacher recommendation, which we provide a form for them to fill out, and an official school transcript. Generally speaking, our students are strong A and B students. If there is a C, perhaps an art or gym or a course that does not relate to the academic content, we will consider that. But again, it will be all the more important that your essay is strong and convincing in terms of your goodness of fit, your academic preparation and motivation. Students are accepted on a rolling basis. It's first come, first serve, and we do have openings right now in all of our programs, but it is important to go ahead and apply early if in fact you're interested. To review the important dates for Florida Keys and Costa Rica, apply by February 1st, which is just in a few weeks. I know sometimes the biggest challenge for students is to get the teacher recs in, so that's going to be really important that you identify a teacher who will then be emailed directly with the rec information. The Brown University program's deadline is February the 8th.
And one person just asked what the turnaround time is for reading applications. Once you have all your pieces in, and as Kisa just said, usually the teacher recommendation is the piece that takes the longest. Once we have all pieces of your application, we will let you know within 10-day turnaround time. With these programs, the deadline coming up sooner, our admissions officers do realize that the deadline is coming up, and so you will likely expect a response sooner than that 10-day window. I asked about this. We didn't mention how big these programs are. Kisa mentioned that it's first come, first serve because there are only about 30 spots available in the Florida and Brown program and only 20 in the Costa Rica program because that climbing is so labor intensive and students do work in such small groups that that really is the most selective.
We had another question about financial aid and whether or not if someone was accepted into the program and then requested financial aid, applied for it, and received an amount that wasn't sufficient, whether or not they could, so quote, back out of the program. And certainly, just because you're accepted does not mean that you need to attend. Your application fee, however, would not be reimbursed, and one thing to secure your spot in the program, we require a 350-degree deposit. So we would we would advise you to not pay the 350-degree deposit until you're confident that you can attend. But as I said, you can always apply, get in, and then for whatever reason, it could be financial, it could be something else happens, get another opportunity, you get the flu, the various reasons that you can attend in which you can choose not to come. The other piece, again, I want to reiterate is, let's say you do get accepted, but the aid does not enough to allow you to attend. You could be asked to be considered for redirect your application and your aid amount for the summer, which would give you more time, perhaps, to fundraise. So.
All right, well, we are pretty much at the end of our formal webinar. Thank you so much, folks, for being with us and for all of your great questions. We are happy to stay on the line and answer questions as they continue to come in, but I do want to highlight at the very bottom, well, first of all, how do you apply? That's a great point to mention right now. At the very bottom, brown.edu/precollege/spring will bring you to our main spring program webpage. Click on any of the programs and you'll see the how to apply on the left navigation bar. Also, for really from now until when you don't feel like hearing from our programs anymore, we'd love for you to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter. We have some incredible videos on YouTube, and certainly we are on Instagram. You can find all of us at Brown Pre-College. Also, tell your friends if this is of interest, or if you think of some friends who might be interested, who you might even want to apply with you. Please share this webinar, share our website, or even share a link on any one of our social media pages. We love having students share with other students about the program. That's really our best way to spread the word. The last thing I wanted to say was thank you again for joining us. At this point, we have a few more questions that we are very happy to answer.
So this is Kisa again. I wanted to reiterate that unfortunately these courses do not receive college credit. To receive college credit, we would have to probably be at least 10 weeks long, very intensive. We do have pre-bac programs, but a week program is just not enough academic rigor or length of time to receive any college credit. So there is not any college credit for these programs. Another question that was asked is about whether or not these might be appropriate for a gap year option for 18 or 19-year-olds. We do allow students to participate in the summer after graduation, but if they've been out of school for more than a year, they would not be eligible. So again, if you have a student that has graduated from high school, that immediate following summer, it would be appropriate, but not after that. And part of the reason too is just the age difference. As you have heard, students 15 or 16 are able to apply, and we're just kind of concerned about the emotional, social dynamics with 18 and 19-year-olds who have been out of school for a while with the rising sophomore. But certainly if a student has just graduated from high school and is wanting to maybe get a little bit of their feet wet in a college-type environment, but not quite ready to go for whatever reason, the programs would be appropriate.
So those would be the summer programs that Kisa's referencing.
Yeah, the summer programs. Any other questions? Feel free real quickly to add a question in our question chat box. Give you another minute or two.
While you're thinking, all the information of ways to contact us is right there on your screen. We love getting phone calls from you. We have a whole team of program advisors who are able to answer any question from I forget what airport are we flying into, to, hey, I'm kind of interested in biology. What's the best program for me? I'm hoping to do something in the spring. The people answering your phone calls have a wealth of knowledge. You can call us or email us at springapply@brown.edu. Any other questions? Well, you know where to find us if any other questions arise. We also have so much information on our website, the one that's right there on your screen, brown.edu/precollege/spring. We have highlights for each of the programs, a plethora of pictures, even more than the ones that we've had tonight on the webinar. And hopefully, we will get the chance to meet some of you in one of our programs this spring. Thank you so very much for joining us, for spending the time, and please spread the word. Have a wonderful night, folks.